had to get out of America. It was just feeling a little too chaotic. If you needed a sign to get out of America and just leave the country for a minute, this is your sign. Sometimes turning on the TV or scrolling on social media just feels like I'm living in a movie. Like, none of it feels real. So I left the country. I'm gonna be gone for a whole month. I just plan on spending most of my time in London, and then my last week I'm gonna go to Italy for a friend's wedding. I'm still trying to decide if I'm gonna like do a random weekend trip to somewhere else in the UK, but we'll see what happens. But the point is that we're here and we're gonna explore. I have no real solidified plans. Like, every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this. I have a flatmate, she lives here. She has a cute little 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom situation, and she has a cat. I'm allergic to cats, but I've been taking Zyrtec, and actually the cat likes me, and I think I like the cat too, interestingly enough. I'm actually a dog person. Y'all know my dog, Chanel, but I'm getting along with the cat. His name is Alfie, and he's really cute. But yeah, I'm starving, so let's go get breakfast. I could not come here without my first stop being Dishoom. I'm obsessed with Dishoom. It's like Indian food, so I wore my jhumkas. And yeah, it's gonna be a cute day. I don't know what the statue is, but it looks like a coochie. Yeah, this is about to get bad. Girl. I'm full. I just ate a gluttonous amount of food. I'm lying. I really didn't eat that much, but it was heavy. It was a lot of food. It was like eggs and rolls and a side of sausage, and then they kept giving me unlimited refills on my chai. You just can't ever go wrong with Dishoom. I'm sitting now at Harbour Quay Garden. So let me explain to you how this whole London trip is working. I am still working my full-time job. Because I work remote, let me just keep working US hours. That way I can work with my team, be online while my team's online. And then, is it raining? Number one tip when visiting London, always bring an umbrella, bro. What the hell? It just starts raining out of nowhere. Anyways, I'm working US hours, so that means I have basically all morning until like 1 to 2 o'clock to do whatever I want. Okay, see, it stopped. See? During the week, there's really not much to do after work hours anyways, so I might as well like do what I want during the week. Now Fridays are my exception. Friday I'm gonna keep working London work hours so that I can log off by 5 p.m. so I can actually enjoy my evening, but otherwise I'll just like walk around the park and like hit museums in the daytime, which is what I came to do anyways, and I'll just work late. I don't care. I'm okay with that. It's raining again, bruh. Everyone always feels iffy about London because of the rain and the weather, but honestly the temperature right now, it just feels so good. It's like 50 to 60 degrees and it can be a little rainy, but I actually think this vibe is kind of sexy. The clouds, I like the moodiness. I always feel a little emo when I come here. Did it stop again? I think a really big reason that I came, one was to escape America, but also just like having a change of pace, a different scenery is always inspiring to me. I plan on going to quite a few museums. I'm going to 2 like fashion related museums on Saturday. I think one is like a fashion and textiles museum, and then the other is like a contemporary modern art fashion museum. I don't know, we'll see. I want to learn, I want to explore, I want to make new friends. Oh, one thing I did want to show you. This is my London read. It's James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room. I just have been reading the summaries and the reviews about it, and just other people who are really into travel who've read it, and it seems like so far, and I literally just cracked it open yesterday, that it's just a really good story about navigating love, relationships, and friendships in America and abroad. So yeah, I'm excited to read it. I'll let you know how it goes and if you should read it. But so far it's really interesting. And it doesn't seem like a long read. It's only like 100-something pages. Like I could probably finish this by next week if I really tap in. I'm sorry, I just think the city is so beautifully moody. I love it because now I'm basking in the sun. Drinking my chai this morning and eating my croissant. I made it through chapter 2 of Giovanni's room, and I came upon this really interesting section where the main character meets his male love interest. Keep in mind that the love interest is Italian and the main character is an American who moved to Paris, and they're both meeting in this like gay bar in Paris. They're talking about, you know, the beauty of New York and how different it is than the beauty of Paris. He says, I like New York too, but New York is very beautiful in a very different way. No one who has never seen it can possibly imagine it. It's very high and new and electric, exciting. It's hard to describe. It's very 20th century. And so the Italian love interest goes, you find that Paris is not of this century. He says, Paris is old, is many centuries. You feel in Paris all the time gone by. That isn't what you feel in New York. In New York, perhaps you feel all the time to come. Well, of course, the Italian love interest afterwards, it's like, I don't see why the world is so new for Americans. After all, you're all merely immigrants. That's so interesting that like Americans have this sense that we are so new and modern and evolved, like we don't come from somewhere. I do understand at the same point that America still is a young country and we have different experiences and it is younger in nature. But at the end of the day, we are all immigrants, and it's not like America popped up out of thin air. We're based on the values that we gathered from our predecessors from all over the world because it's such a melting pot. Then the second thing they talked about was this concept of time and how Americans have this idea that like over time we're gonna understand better, we're gonna have the solutions we need, we're gonna have clarity on whatever decision that we're trying to make. And the Italian's like, okay, so after time, do you actually ever feel any more clearer? And that stuck out to me because the answer is no. It's weird that Americans have this sense that there is an end point other than death, like and that's it's not to get too dark. But at the end of the day, there is no end point. You're never really gonna be 100% sure about a decision you're making or where you're going. You kind of just have to go with it and trust that it's happening the way it's supposed to. And connected to that idea, they start to go into like time is just like water for fish. The Italian goes, I don't believe in this nonsense about time. Time is just common. It's like water for a fish. Everybody's in this water, nobody gets out of it, or if he does the same thing happens to him that happens to the fish, he dies. Then he says, and you know what happens in this water, time? The big fish eat the little fish. That's all. The big fish eat the little fish and the ocean doesn't care. That's so dark. But also like he's right. But then the American rebuttals and is like, well, you can choose to be the big fish or the little fish. You can choose to eat or be eaten. And the Italian's like, oh, you really are an American. You think you have a choice for real. Do we have a choice whether we get to eat or be eaten? I guess that's why there is so much hope and possibility tied to the idea of living in America. But at the end of the day, especially now, there is such a huge gap between the extremely wealthy and the poor, and it's only getting wider, and it just makes it even more difficult to climb up the ladder. And it gets to a point where it starts to feel like the lottery, like the folks who make it, the folks who can be multi-billionaires, multi-millionaires even, just like had a lucky card. Of course people are working hard, but there are a lot of people who work hard out there and have great ideas, but they never get to see the success. They stay the little fish. So I don't know how I feel about that one. I do feel like there is a sense that we do have a choice, but society kind of is structured the way it is. But then the American pushes back and he's like, the little fish seem to have gotten together and are nibbling at the body of the whale. And of course the Italian's like, okay, but that's not gonna make them whales. That just means that there's not gonna be any more grandeur anywhere. Which is true, because especially in Atlanta, even the idea of being famous and being rich and being a celebrity is so commonplace that it's like, we're all celebrities. Like nobody, who are you? You're not bigger than anything. I think it's really hard to impress Americans, especially because social media has made them so accessible and we're all up in their business. There's nothing really special about them. You know, when a lot of Americans go to Paris, they're so disappointed by the Eiffel Tower and they don't see it as this great monument. They're like, oh, that's it. I feel like at a certain point, it was nice to have like a human to look up to, or monuments to look up to, or just something out of this world. Nothing's really out of this world anymore, or at least it doesn't feel that way. But then it's so funny, the American goes, okay, you people dumped all this merde on us, which is shit, and now you say we're barbaric because we stink. And of course the Italian didn't have to say nothing about that. He went back to flirting, but it's true. You know, any qualm that I feel the English or the French have with Americans, it's like, well, if we're not modern and new and we do come from somewhere, we come from you, and you have to kind of deal with that. I guess I'm thinking about all of this as like, as I am American abroad right now, and I'm okay with blending in. I blend in mostly, but then I open my mouth and I sound like this, and I do wonder what like the assumptions that are being made about me. It's so pretty. If I hate it, it is what it is. I'm not understanding what makes this so African. This tastes European. I don't know about this one though. It's fine, I'm gonna eat it. So, it's so crazy that we were literally just talking about being perceived as an American abroad. I had the funniest conversation with my flatmates today when we were talking about drugs in America. And one of my flatmates was like, yeah, like, isn't heroin like a huge problem in America? And I was like, what makes you say that? And he was like, yeah, I was watching this documentary that was like 1 in 4 Americans struggle with heroin addiction. His girlfriend was like, oh no, that was just like about a city in Kentucky. And I was like, you know what, that's fair though, because I feel like a lot of people abroad, when they think of America, they think a random bumblefuck city in Kentucky. They literally see Americans as hicks. And then 2, we were talking about, sorry if I'm whispering, they're right next to me, I don't want to be like rude. But we were talking about the American healthcare system. And as I was talking about it out loud, I just realized how like fucked it is. The government decides whether you get to be healthy or not, or whether you get to be supported financially when you have a health crisis, which is insane to think about. It's weird that the government's like, no, we're not paying for yours. We'll pay for this person's though. That's so fucked. America's so fucked. We're not just gonna completely shit on America now, okay? It's still the land of the free and the home of the brave. Anyways, I'm gonna go to bed now. The cat allergy is starting to hit me and I need to take my Zyrtec, and once I take that, I'm gonna fall out. So thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you come back. I have a lot more stuff planned to do while I'm here, so tap in.